I wanted to make one chapter just about my marriages. I think 5 marriages deserves an entire chapter. So how did that happen? Let me start. Where to start? Well, at the beginning. This one's awkward because not many people get married 5 times. But I don't know, I wasn't looking for it. It just happened. Things happen. First one, I met this girl, apparently French girl. I think I was stocking shelves and the babies were at Sears in the mall in Richmond. Her name when I met her was Milena something, and then that changed to Mijanu, and then on the wedding certificate her name was Rosarita Kruger, German Fraulein. Anyway, she had this whole persona of being a French intellectual from the Sorbonne, thick French accent, French clothes, fashionable clothes, and she had this spiel that she was Jewish, and she was, as a baby, she was thrown into the bushes, and this German mother took her in. But her mother was mushy. She didn't know a word of English, so there was no way to verify anything. And ultimately, who cares? I don't think she was really, who knows? It was all just a show. Anyway, she was fascinating, and she seduced me, basically, although I was a willing victim, and we had sex and everything like that. It was great. Lots of it. She had beautiful breasts. Just, I've always been a breast man, I think. And she just had these magnificent breasts, and this was before the age of plastic surgery. They were the real deal. Anyway, it turned, we went to school. I think I started working to McDonald's hamburgers. I was working there, assistant manager, making pretty good money. And I don't know what the hell she was doing. It turns out she was sleeping with everybody at school. We were going to college together, Vancouver City College. I completed a couple of years there. And it turns out she was sleeping with the professors and who knows who else. Anyway, that was the end of her. I did have one redeeming moment. I'd come back from Hawaii. I had a marvelous time in Hawaii. I was working at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Vancouver, and I got a job there as a restaurant manager, the one on the second floor looking over the lobby. A great little restaurant. Did a phenomenal business on Sundays. And we did a dinner called Chaîne de Rosé or something. Some exclusive, they pay a few $100 and they get a price fixed meal and the wine, and they have wine stewards and hoity-toity. And we all had to wear tuxedos and white glove service. Anyway, in waltzes, in the room as we came out with the food to serve the food, there she was, about 300 pounds, with a husband who was even bigger. She could waddle around, and I looked gorgeous. It was one of those moments. I'd just come back from Hawaii. I was tan, thin, in a tuxedo, tall, good looking, and she was waddling around. So there's a moment of pure justice there that I really liked. I never saw her hurt again. I saw her once on TV. She was in some protest rally. So it'll be quick. The first was Kathleen. She's was a lesbian that lived in Oakland, California. Her father was the president of the Communist Party of California. And we met through my brother's first wife, I think, Mary Vaughn. Anyway, and Kathleen was in love with my brother's wife. And anyway, she wanted to move to Canada, and I wanted to move to Hawaii. So we thought, well, let's get married. And we had clueless about the immigration. It's not that easy. Anyway, so that didn't work out. I think I stayed at her place for 2.5 days and never saw her again. We got drunk and at lunch in Oakland, and said, yeah, let's go get married. So we went over to City Hall, and boom, that was done. Anyway, she ended up, there's an interesting story about her. The reason I was in Hawaii, owned three. I started a first frozen yogurt in Canada, in Kitsilano, and one down in Gastown, and then one on Broadway. Anyway, we made a lot of money on the first two, and the third one was just, and so that did not work out. So I decided one day, to hell with it. I grabbed all the cash and said, I'm going to go live in Hawaii. And I got a one-way ticket to Honolulu and figured it out. But anyway, on the way to Honolulu is when we got married. And I never saw her again. And one day when I'd been in Hawaii for about maybe 2 months, less than 2 months. I found a job right away. You know, made up some numbers. It was a lot easier in those days. One afternoon, I went back to my room. I woke up, and it was like a little Tinkerbell went flying through the room, and then out of the room. And I was like so startled. I ran down to see this friend of mine, this old Jewish tarot card reader, Jewish princess, Eris. She was ended up being the third wife. Anyway, I went down and started talking to her about it, told her about it. And then I got a letter 2 weeks later from my dad that Kathleen, my second wife, had committed suicide on that very day. Yeah, that was really something. Anyway, that was the second wife. I ran into her actually when that Tinkerbell visitation from the spirit of Kathleen came to say goodbye to me. It was when I kind of ran down to Florence's place and we started yakking. She was a Jewish debutante, San Francisco, never worked a day in her life. Follower of Gandhi, tarot card reader, astrologer, a real astrologer. Like she would do the time where she could do your whole chart. Fascinating woman, kind of a hermit. She lived alone. She had millions of dollars, enough. She had money rolling in for her whole life, a couple of inheritances, and didn't spend it all. She just accumulated the cash. And she could walk through the Hyatt, the hotel in the lobby of the Hyatt, and just call out orders to people and keep on walking, and they'd do it. Anyway, she was interesting. Follower of Gandhi, just a very strange woman, almost anorexic. She ate raw meat and vegetables, and just very interesting. Anyway, she married me so that I could stay in the U.S. Then she got all weird about. She thought we were married. She started like telling me what to do, and that was the end of that. Or you can take a hike. Nobody tells me what to do. Not on that level. When somebody does something to help you, doesn't give them any kind of ownership over you whatsoever. So I think that lasted about 3 weeks. That was in Hawaii. Interesting time. After she divorced, she hooked up with some other guy, and she was living on the North Shore of Oahu, and then I found out she died of throat cancer. If I could have hung on for about another year, I could have been loaded. So here we go. Wife number 4. This has been a very difficult, you can tell from my haircut at the beginning of this chapter. I think this chapter has taken me about 3 months. But really dredging up a lot of stuff. You know, you don't want to dwell on the past. And then I was thinking, one of the benefits of writing this is I don't have to remember it anymore. It's like I can clean out the closets and just let it go. So, wife number 4, she was in Hawaii, and she was really the sweetest, nicest, best friend I ever really had in my life. She completely believed in me. Yvonne Leah Jackson, and she was just caught in a miserable situation. She was devout LDS Mormon, the head office in Salt Lake City, but she was also a legitimate psychic. Well, in her religion, there's only one psychic, and that's the founder of the religion. She can't be. So she had this eternal conflict going on. And in all my travels, she's the only legitimate psychic that I ever really met. Anyway, so she was quite marvelous. She was around when I was married to the third wife and saw all the drama and the manipulation. And she offered to marry me so that I could stay in the U.S. And I thought that was quite lovely. And she was really a good friend. There was never anything physical. She was extremely obese, the poor woman. And she had medical conditions. She tried everything, but nothing seemed to work. Had a beautiful voice, had an and loved to sing Hawaiian songs. We used to go to the Sheraton buffet, the one looking out of the ocean, and they would comp our lunches because she would get up and sing some Hawaiian songs. It was just absolutely beautiful. So Yvonne, we were married for quite a while. She was so encouraging and always supportive and always believed in me. And actually, a lot of the stuff that she said was going to happen to me in my life is happening now. It's quite something. Anyway, thank you, Yvonne. Thank you for being such a good friend. I know that if you could be here now and see what's going on, you'd absolutely love it. And all the time that you devoted to coaching me and helping me paid off. So thank you to you. And cheers, Yvonne. And that's the end of, there's a fifth wife, but that's a whole nother story. And we're not going to put it in the book. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. This chapter. Yay!